There we go. Oh, right, it's 11 o'clock. That means it's time to start. Thank you, all of you wonderful people who came nice and early or on time. That's really, really cool. It's great to see you all. Today, my pajamas are, and I have to stand up for this because what you can see right now is just the top bit, and that's no fun at all. But I have got, it's a cold day, I have got my fuzzy bears on today. My pajama bottoms are classic Peter Alexander fuzzy Dachshund ones. Bit of a combo here, nice and fuzzy today because it rained all night and it's cold here in Melbourne.
Rain.
Yes, it rained, Imogen. She sleeps quite heavily. All right, so here we go. Finn, come and get your treat. Come on. It's steak today. Come here. Come here. Oh, he's a horrible dog. Come here, Finny. Come here. Up, up, up. Up, up, up. Come on. Well, I think he needs fuzzy pajamas as well because he's just lying there. He's just lying there, not getting up, not even for a bit of steak. So I'm going to give it to him anyway. Here you go, Finny. There you go. Good boy. All right. And I've got a question for Finn before we turn back to the board. And that question is this. Finn, when there's a letter E at the end of a word, what sound does that E represent? Good boy. Do you want to hear it again? Here's the sound that E represents at the end of English words. That's right, no sound. And that's the subject for today's lesson. E at the end of a word. So, going back to yesterday, we did a little work on stunt double Y, the letter Y, and why it appears in words. I'm going to get rid of most of those words, but the one that I'm going to keep is lazy, because we can use that as a launch pad for today's lesson. So I'm going to keep lazy. Yeah, that's tape. And I don't know if you remember yesterday, but I misspelled it on purpose. I spelled it wrong. On purpose, I spelled it like this. L-A-Z-E. And everyone went, no, that's not how you spell lazy. That's how you spell laze, because what we have is sound, l, sound, a, sound, z. And if anyone who's ever done any work with me knows I love magnetic tiles and buttons to show sounds in words. So each one of these letters maps onto a sound, l, a, z. But this one at the end doesn't. It's one of the rules that we have in English spelling. And the reason we have rules like this is because you have to remember that there are 26 letters. All we've got is 26 letters in the alphabet. And with those 26 letters, we've got to make all the words. All the words. So that's a mathematical problem, because that's not a lot of symbols to express the tens of thousands of words that we've got in our language. So one of the solutions is to have the symbols represent more than one sound, like this one. This is the letter C, that's its name. But it can represent the sound k, and it most commonly does, like in cat. But it can also represent another sound. You probably know this already. It's s. So it can represent k, or it can represent s. To signal in a word that C is representing this other sound, we use another letter after it to show that we want you to say S. E is one of those letters. I and Y are the other two. And look at that, they're all together doing things again. So changing the sound of the letter C is one of the jobs that E does, especially at the end of a word. And that's what we've come to. We're going to look at some of the things that E does at the end of words. Now, you've probably heard some of this information before. What I want you to do is I want you to see if you can type through messages the name that your teachers have told you for E on the end of a word doing things. Does anyone have any names that E does at the end of words? Thank you. Someone said, nice Jim Jams, Lynn. Thank you very much. I chose them out of thousands. All right.
There's a bunch.
Silent. Somebody wrote silent E. Absolutely. Very good. You've heard that before. Bossy E. A lot of people have voted bossy E. Silent E syllable, somebody said.
Magic
Lazy E.
Magic E.
Magic E. That's coming up, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Super E. Somebody's written. Bossy, silent. Somebody said split digraph. Yep. Helper E. Magic E. Bossy E. Quiet
Ninja.
E. Ninja E. That's a new one. Ninja E. Because I take it that this E is leaping like a ninja over this consonant and allowing that vowel to say its name. Is that what you mean? Bossy E, bro. Okay, thanks, bro. Bad E. Goodness me, I'd never heard of it called bad E. Gracious. Yeah, it's very good. And good E. Are you making that up? I don't know. Anyway, here we go. Look at all the different names for this E. I'm going to give you a name for it, and I'm going to look at some of the things that it does. Sarcastic E. You're definitely making this stuff up, but I like it. So, all right. This E in this word, lays, as in that lion really likes to laze about, or that tiger, it likes to laze about on the wall. It means be lazy. It means not move around much, right? Oh, and somebody said Magic Bridge E is a game we play. Awesome. That's really good. All right, so we've got E. Where is the E? Is it at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end of the word? Someone said speechless E. That's a good one. Beginning, middle, or end. Absolutely. This E is at the end of the word. And our lesson today is about the function of E at the end of words. Yeah. A nice technical name for something at the end is final. Final. Fin, this, not my dog now, but this base here means end. So we finish things and we go to the grand final at the end of a sports season and so on. So this is final, but also when E is at the end of a word, as Finn explained earlier, in English words, it doesn't represent a sound. So we're going to call it silent. So it's got two names, final, silent, E. That is very precise. That tells us lots of things. It packs all the information, or lots of information that we need into that name. Final, silent, E. And I know it's easy to remember things like bossy and magic and all that sort of thing. And I don't have a problem with any of that at all. Don't have a problem with any of that at all. If that's how you remember it, awesome. But I talk about it as final, silent, E. It's at the end, and it doesn't represent a sound. So we're going to look at some of the things it does do, because yeah, we've got all these words, and sometimes letters double up in what they can represent, or even triple, and sometimes they can represent lots of sounds, especially vowels. And sometimes we have signals in words to tell us how to pronounce the word so that we can use the same letters, or most of the same letters, but have different pronunciations. I'll show you what I mean. There's two other things that you need to understand to really get the most out of this lesson, okay? Firstly, on this chart, we've got consonants up here and we've got vowels down here. And one of our first lessons next week is going to look really in depth at the scientific difference between vowels and consonants. That's going to be our first lesson next Monday. So we're looking at vowels right now. Now I'm going to get each tile into the cloud. As I said before, letters can represent multiple sounds. They can represent more than one sound. Looking at the vowels here, vowels particularly do this. They can actually represent lots of different sounds in words. The most common sound that the vowels represent is really important to learn. It's really important to know that if you are sounding out a word and you see one of these letters, what to try first, what sound to try first, because you'll be right most of the time if you know this. And anyone who's done any work with me knows all of the first and most common sound that each vowel makes. And I'll tell you what it is. Ready? You can say it with me if you've learned this already. It goes a, e, I, o, a. So those are the 5 common sounds that vowels represent in words. A, I, o, a. But here's the other thing. When you're saying the alphabet, you're not going a, b, k, d, e, are you? You're not saying the sounds that those letters commonly represent. What are you saying when you're saying the alphabet? What are you saying when you're saying the alphabet? Absolutely, this thing called letter names. A, B, C, D, E, and so on. You're not going A, B, K, D, E. You're naming the letters. And actually, when you're spelling things out for people, for instance, if I wanted to spell out my name for you, do I say, oh, this is how you spell my name? U, I, N. Nope, it's how you segment the sounds in my name, but it's not how you spell my name, is it? You spell my name L-Y-N, and I named those letters. That's how we eventually communicate to one another how to spell things if we can't write them down for people. All right, so you've got first and most common sound, and then you've got names. But here's the thing that you need to know about the vowel names. They don't represent their names all by themselves. There's always a reason, there's always a signal why a vowel, to say the vowel's name here. It's not random. There's a signal in the word that will tell you to say the vowel's name. One of the signals is final silent E. There are lots of other signals, and we can learn all about that in Spelling for Life. But for now, we're looking at final silent E. Final silent E is there to signal to us to say a vowel's name. And you're right, people call it ninja E because it looks as if it jumps over that consonant separated from that vowel by another consonant. And that's where people get this idea of split digraph. But there's a reason I don't use that term. And that is because digraphs are digraphs. They're one subject, but final silent E is a different subject. And we need to learn that rather than saying at some point these two were together, because they weren't. That's not how that word evolved. So it's not true. No such thing as a split digraph, actually. But we'll come back to that. We will come back to that. On Saturday for educators, by the way. We'll come back to it. So anyway, final silent E makes a vowel say its name, even if it's separated from that vowel by a consonant. So let's have a look. Let's see if we can put that into action. Get your pencils. This is where you do some writing, okay? So get your pencils and something to write on. Are you ready? Here comes our word list. The first word that we're going to write is going to contain the letter A. I'm going to do it over here. You tell me what it says, or you say what it says and write it down. The word is can, as in I can help you, can. So it goes k, and we chose the common spelling of the sound k, and a and n. Very good. So we've got, excellent work, Ozzy. We've got 3 sounds. K, a, n. K, a, n. Now, let's borrow E from the cloud over there and put it on the end of the word. Is this representing a sound? Do we say can e? Can e? Canna? No, we don't. It's not representing a sound. It's final silent E. What it's doing is it's saying pronounce that A as its name. So the word is cane, as in this basket is made of cane. Or at Christmas, I like to have a candy cane. Cane. So what happened there was that we got two different words just by adding a signal. All the same letters, except that signal letter at the end. Say the name cane. Now, with the letter E, to represent the E name rather than the sound, we often get E and E sitting together. So what we do have there is a digraph that we don't often, we don't split it anyway. Splitting doesn't happen, but E likes to sit next to E. We even have E sitting next to A to form the E sound as well. Not very often do we have the pattern E, consonant E. Not very often. You have to do all sorts of mental gymnastics to find two words that show this pattern. So it shows you that it's not very common. However, the one that I use is my dog is my pet. So, write it down, pet. If any of you know, yep, very good. If any of you know how to, what are the X's in? Oh, okay, are they voting? Is that what that is?
I'm not on the poll. What?
Beside everybody's names, the participants.
I don't see that.
I think they've said, oh, okay. No worries, sorry, a little bit of admin here.
Those are no's.
Oh, those are no's. Okay, great. Yay, Jack got it. That's fantastic. I just had a message that Jack got the word Pete. Yes, if you know anyone called Peter, you can shorten their name right down to Pete, but you have to alter the form of that word because it is a proper noun. That's somebody's name, so that has to have a capital P. Pet and Pete are a pair that show this change from E to E, according to the signal. However, there's not many of those words. E likes to sit close to E. All right, next word. Ready? Oh, Steve, it's a good one. Steve is an example of something else as well, but I'll show you that in a minute. All right, next word, pin. P-I-N. Write it down. P-I-N. 3 sounds. Adding final silent E is a signal to make the I represent its name. P-I-N. No sound here. What word? It's pine, as in my desk is made of pine. It's a kind of wood. And pine trees are sometimes trees that we use at Christmas to decorate. Pine tree. So pin becomes pine. So we've got all the same letters, but all we have to do is put on a signal, and now we have a brand new word just with those letters. Ready for the next one? Here we go. Hop. 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 So the vowel is representing its most common sound, O. Adding final silent E, we have turned the word hop now into what word? Yep, you've got it. It's hope. The E made the O say its name. Hop, hope. It is cool, isn't it? I like it a lot. That's the most common job of final silent E. It's the most common signal that it makes. I'm going to do 2 others today. Last one. I use scissors to cut my paper. Cut. Good stuff. People are getting it. Adding final silent E is a signal to no longer pronounce this vowel as A. It's a signal to pronounce its name, you. Cute. My white tiger is cute, which brings me to the vote. You know, there's a vote here, don't you? Only a quarter of you have voted, but what should the white tiger be called? Now, I don't know if you're old enough to see the Marvel movies yet, but there's one particular Marvel movie that's very, very popular, and it's about the thunder god, Thor. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Here is Thor. Can everybody see him?
It's just the Wikipedia page, but yeah.
Yes, so there's Thor. He is Odin's son, and he is the god of thunder. And actually, the name Thor and the word thunder are the same thing. They mean, Thor means thunder, thunder means Thor. So this day of the week was named after Thor. Thor is spelt usually with an O, like that, Thor. But over time, that changed to Thur. This is Thursday. That's why today is spelt like it is. Write Thursday at the top of your paper. Some questions in. Oh, yeah. All right, going to stop sharing now. I wonder if you can figure out who Friday's named after. That will happen tomorrow. All right. So, back to final silent E. The first and most common job that it does is it signals us to say a vowel's name. It can do that if there's one consonant separating it. It can't do it if there are two consonants separating it. And that's what brings us on to our next word. I'll show you what I mean. What we have here is the word chance, as in there is no chance that I'm going to call the white tiger Sergeant Stripes, because the regular tiger is called Sergeant Stripes. So there's no chance that I'm going to do that. Chance. So we've got sounds ch, a, n, s. No sound for E. It's final silent E again. But it is not doing anything to affect that A. It's separated. It's too far away. Separated by two consonants, it can't do it. Can't have an effect. However, if we took away final silent E, it would stop signaling something in that word. What is it that it is signaling in that word? What's it telling us to do? Because right now, without the E, because I know the letter sound rules of English, I would say this, ch, a, n, k, chank. I would say chank, not chance. Final silent E, oh my gosh, I've lost my final silent E tile. Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. Phew. Final silent E tells us to pronounce this C differently. Usually it says k, but some of the time it says s. E is a signal to make us do that. Chan, s. The E makes the C say s. Very good. Now look at this word. Ch, R, and then a G, and then an E. This word is charge, as in, I'm not going to charge for this lesson. Or, I didn't want the bull to charge, so I ran out of the field quickly. So, ooh, somebody's saying France, good one. I love France too. All right, so charge, first sound, ch, two letters, one sound, ch. Next sound, ah. If you are English or Australian, you'll say these two letters together to make one sound, ah. But in America and Scotland, it's R, a, R, like that, two sounds, but doesn't matter. The point is we've got ch, ah, j, no sound, final silent E. If I take this away, the signal goes away and I have to convert this G back to its original most common sound, G. So that word would be charg. That word would be charg. So final silent E makes G represent J. This happens a lot at the end of words. Charg, charge. So the second job of final silent E is to make C say S and G say J. Write chance and charge if you haven't already, and show what the E is doing. Got a good word list here. There are lots of other examples of this, but now I want to show you something else. Something quite cool about final silent E, and probably why it got its name Magic E or Bossy E as well. It's this. This is the word rag. First sound, R. Next sound, A. Next sound, G. The A is doing what we expect and representing its sound A, its common sound A. If I put final silent E on the end here, we don't get a sound. It's not making a sound, but it is signaling two things. Not one, two things. It is saying, you must say this vowel's name, A, and it's signaling the second sound of the letter G, J. So what we have is R, A, J, rage. Very, very strong anger. That's what rage is. So we can make the difference between rag and rage just by adding final silent E. Do you see how adding that lets us use the same letters again, but one signal can change it entirely? That's the beauty of English spelling. All right, all those words, but 26 letters. I think that's amazing that we can do that. We're nearly at the end. We're nearly at the end. There's one other thing that I want to show you though about final silent E. And we'll do this bit by bit and more in depth next week. But I'm going to give you this mystery to ponder over. And it's this. If you're waiting at a bus stop and you look at the timetable on the bus stop, or if you're in a train station and you're waiting for the train to come, there's a word that you use to say, to ask when the train is going to arrive. You can say, when is this train due? When is it due? That means, when is it supposed to be coming along? When is the baby due? Due. If I took away final silent E, that word would still be due, because there's another rule that we have about vowels saying their names, which we'll come to soon. And that is, if it's in an open syllable, it can say its name. We'll do that on Monday. However, due, what's wrong with that word? Anybody know? Well, here it is. The letter U in English is called an illegal letter. Illegal. It means we can't have it at the end of English words. There were some rules about English spelling that people made a long time ago. Yes, the letter U is an illegal letter. Well done. The letter U is one of the illegal letters. You cannot have a word in English that ends with the letter U. So, to stop the word from ending with the letter U, final silent E comes in. Somebody asked, what about R? Well, you'll find out on Monday. Because there are lots of words that end in U in English, but all of them have a reason. If you have a U at the end of a word and you don't put an E there, the chances are that you've misspelled it. Unless, of course, well, you'll find out on Monday why that is. So, the letter E can also stop a word from ending with an illegal letter, and that's one of its functions. All right, now we'd better get on with the poll.
A lot of people had troubles with it.
Oh, have they?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people had trouble?
Yeah.
36%, all right, 2/3 of you didn't vote.
Yeah.
That's
Lots
a
of
bummer.
people had trouble.
All right, well, here's what I'm seeing though. There is a name that's way, 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 way out in front. So this is what I'm going to do, all right? There's 2 names now that we're going to choose from. I put 10 up there, but everybody's voting. So I'm going to get you to tell me which one you're voting for. It's either Snowy or Ziggy. And you can type that into the chat as well, and we'll count that up, okay? Because Snowy and Ziggy are pretty popular. Snowy and Ziggy. Everybody's writing Snow. Oh, that's one Ziggy. So many Snowies. Imogen's counting. I think it's going to be Snowy.
Yeah.
Which I like because it's actually could be a boy's name, could be a girl's name. And I want to think of her as a girl, actually, because we've got Sergeant Tiggy Stripes there, which, again, Tiggy could be a girl's name too, you're right. But I keep thinking boy for that one, girl for that one. I don't know why. Snowy is the name of the new name of our white tiger. Thanks, everybody. All right, now, I know we've gone a little bit over time. If you would like to ask a question, it's time to put your hand up and Imogen will unmute you so that you can ask your question. You ready? Go. Thomas, what is your question? Oh, Rebecca Fraser.
Where?
I'll unmute. Hang on 1 second, Thomas, 1 second. I'll unmute you. That's right, I can do it. Go, Thomas.
Do we have a lesson on Friday?
Yes, tomorrow we're actually going to put it all together. Everything that you learned this week is going to be put all together in a new lesson. So I hope you can join us.
I probably will.
Glad to hear it. So nice to see you, Thomas. All right. Anybody else got a question?
Yeah. Liam.
Do we have them on the weekend?
No, on Saturday I am doing one of these, but it's for parents and teachers. So this one that we're doing on Saturday will be about digraphs, 2 letters, 1 sound.
Okay.
So yeah, you get a bit of a break. And Sunday I'm just going to stay in bed in my gym jams.
Okay.
But Monday we're back into it. All right.
All right.
Good. Thank you. Anybody else?
Yep. There we go. Someone's unmuted.
Go for it. Who have we got here? Is it?
Do we have any? Do we have any homework today?
Yes. Practice your words and put them into statements or questions. So you could say, "When is the bus due?" Or "This train isn't due for a long time." So you've got "When is the bus due?" is a question. "This train isn't due" is a statement. Mix them up. That would be really good. Okay. Thank you. All right. Who's next? Ethan and Liliana.
Yeah.
Let's go for it. Yes.
Go.
Did you used to be a teacher?
No, I've never been a teacher. What I've been is somebody who's worked with students when they're struggling at school. So what I studied was language at university, and then I went straight into a practice where I worked with children who had problems reading and writing. So I was never a classroom teacher, but all my working life I've been teaching, but on a little one-to-one basis rather than a whole classroom. Does that answer your question?
Say thank you. Thumbs up.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. All right. Anyone else?
Yes, Melissa. No, that's okay.
Okay.
Okay. Now, who's that? What's your name? I'll just hang on. Oh, we will get to you, boy with Justice League shirt on soon. But is this Melissa or is it a different name?
Well, our names are Mia and Clara.
Say it again.
Our names are Mia and Clara.
Mia and Clara. What lovely names. All right. What was your question?
Can we look at the white tiger again?
Yes.
Would you like to bring it over?
Good plan. Imogen's going to bring her over.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next person, I'm going to unmute you now. Boy with the white. Oh, look at that. You're on Justice League guy. What's your name?
Luke.
It's Luke. Okay, we've spoken before, Luke.
Yeah.
He wants to know what about the words that use the same sounds but have different meanings, like dew, but dew is the sound of the water, the mist on the grass.
Yeah, I have got an amazing resource for that. Imogen, pass me that orange book near the seahorse cup. I'll show you something. They're called homophones. And I don't teach homophones together usually because that's a lot to remember. But if you're interested in homophones, this is an amazing book. An amazing book. What it does is it takes common homophones. This is my favorite one, right? So you've got the word bear, meaning no clothes. And you've got differently spelled bear, meaning the big furry carnivore. And as you can see, the bear has stolen this person's clothes. So that book is full of these little jokes that help you to remember the difference between the homophones. That's a resource for that. And yes, look, our words evolve like everything else. So that bear had a different evolution and a different language that it came from that bear. And that's why the signals are different for us to say air after the B. Does that make sense? It can seem quite complicated, but again, if you do it in a good sequence, you start to realize that all of the rules and the way words are structured is really logical. And so hopefully I can show you lots more of that next week if you're coming to the lessons, and if not, the videos will be on. Thank you, Luke. You always ask really good questions.
Okay, we have another.
We have another question? That's fine. And you know, guys, you're free to go anytime. You know that, right? You don't have to sit here, but you certainly can. I love talking to you. Who's next?
Katrina.
Ah, that's Ozzy.
Ah.
You're up, Oz. Where's Ozzy's picture?
How long were you in aid for?
Pardon?
How long were you in aid for?
An aide?
Yeah.
Oh, did you get the idea that I was a teacher aide?
I thought you said that.
Well, I think I understand why you would think that. What I did, rather than go into schools, was I actually worked in a practice like the one I have right now. Yeah. So I worked in a separate place outside schools where people would come to see us. And so I started doing that in 1996. So how long's that? I can't even count that. What's that like?
That's 24 years.
Yeah, 205 years, I think.
20.
Oh, 24 says Imogen. She's good at numbers. Yeah, 24 years I've been doing that for. Does that answer your question, Oz?
Yes.
Great. Lovely to see you as usual. Anyone else?
Yes, Remy.
Oh, hi, Remy.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, okay.
We just wanted to know the author's name for the homophones book.
Bruce Worden. Bruce Worden.
Terrific. Thank you.
No worries. He has a website called Homophones Weekly. And the Week in Weekly is spelled W-E-A-K.
W-E-A-K.
It's a blog. So every week he puts in a new homophone and a new picture. He's amazing.
All right, check it out.
Yeah, it's a really good one.
Okay, Rebecca.
Rebecca?
Uh-huh.
Thomas?
Yeah.
Yep. What's Thomas's question?
I just unmuted.
Parent information thing on tomorrow. On Saturday, I mean.
Start the question again because I missed the first bit.
What time does it start the normal time for Saturday for the parents and teachers?
Yeah, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay.
Good question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone. Is that it?
Yeah. I think
All
so.
right. Thank you. We are going to now unmute everybody for the big goodbye.
Want me to
So,
do that?
are you ready? Yep. Unmute everybody. And the good time is on. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thanks, everyone.
Bye.